All right, everybody, I think we're live here. Tonight we're going to be watching Shoe on Head's newest video, The Male Loser Epidemic. I am curious what your thoughts are, so if you want to call in, I'm more interested in what women think. So if you're a woman, call in. Let's talk about it.
I've been gone for quite a bit. Hopefully nothing too crazy happened. I feel like every time I take a break, like, a war breaks out or something, but thankfully that did not happen. But at least we found out the real Epstein files were the friends we made along the way. Welcome back to the Shoe on Head channel. If it is your first time here, run. I am Shoe on Head, and on this channel I like to cover cultural issues mostly surrounding men's issues. It's what I've been doing for over a decade, and frankly, I'm exhausted. Many of you have been along for the ride, and you have seen me go from a chipper, lively 24-year-old making fun of BuzzFeed and Tumblr feminists, to a bitter, calloused 34-year-old talking about very real and growing men's issues. One of the main men's issues I have been covering in great detail lately has been the male loneliness epidemic. Yeah, but turns out I was wrong. We don't have a male loneliness epidemic. We have a male loser epidemic. It's not a male loneliness epidemic. No, it's a male mediocrity epidemic. It's a male loser epidemic.
The male loser epidemic has gotten so bad that it's honestly so pathetic at this point.
Now, I don't always talk about men's issues. No, sometimes I talk about politics, and sometimes I mix the two together. Now, I know a lot of you don't like politics, you don't care about politics, but politics cares about you, and it will enter your life no matter how hard you try to avoid it. But thankfully, I have the perfect app to help you navigate this difficult, confusing political landscape. So let's quickly give a shout out to today's sponsor, Ground News, before we get into this video, shall we? Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers a fun and transparent way to read the news from all across the political spectrum, from left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of the political bias, ownership, and headlines that helps you understand the full story and make sure you're getting both sides. One of my favorite features from Ground News has to be the blind spot feature, which shows you news stories that have been covered by only one side of the political spectrum and ignored by the other. For example, here is a story about how the CIA uncovered a Russiagate fraud, and right away we can see how it has been covered by 41 sources, and out of those 41 sources, 93% of them lean right, with only 2 left-wing outlets reporting the story. Ground News also makes it really easy to compare headlines to see just how political bias can affect the framing of a story. For example, this story about Zohran Mamdani winning the Democratic primary in New York. This left-leaning outlet says Zohran Mamdani's win just got a little sweeter. And meanwhile, the right-wing outlet says, meet Zohran Mamdani, the man who will ruin New York. As you can see, very different vibes. I have been using Ground News since 2021 because I think it is so informative, so fun, and it helps me see how different stories are framed so differently, and I love it. I highly recommend it. It's one of the few apps that I wake up and just immediately check. But don't just take my word for it. Even the Nobel Peace Center called it an excellent way to stay informed, avoid echo chambers, and expand your worldview. High praise. Best of all, I am currently offering 40% off their Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to access all of their amazing features. This comes out to only like $5 a month, which is like the price of a coffee. So go to ground.news/shoe or use the QR code right there on screen, or the link in the video description down there, to subscribe to Ground News today. I feel like what they're doing is really important, especially right now, and it helps us approach the news in a more fair and balanced way. So thank you to Ground News for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad.
You're welcome.
Right? Now, let's get back to the video. With all these issues men are facing, they seem to be moving to the right and the Republicans more, since the left and Democrats have essentially just become the young men eat and die movement. Months ago, I covered how the Democratic Party was losing young men, and I predicted Kamala Harris would lose in part because of young men overwhelmingly voting for Trump. And I was correct. Well, now the Democrats have unveiled their final solution to the right-wing male loser epidemic. Democrats spending millions to learn how to speak to American men and win back the working class. Democrats have blown millions of dollars on efforts to appeal to American men who turned to President Donald Trump in droves on Election Day in hopes of winning back the working class. Democrats have spent $20 million on their efforts, with donors and strategists holing up in luxury hotel rooms, brainstorming how to convince working class men to return to the party. Ah yes, nothing more relatable to working class men than luxury hotel rooms. Great job, guys. The plan? Codename SAM, or Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, promises to use the funds to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. The effort also recommends Democrats buy advertisement in video games, among other things. The Democratic Party is treating young men like exotic animals they're studying. Now, as you can see here is the young man in his natural habitat, in a dark, messy cave surrounded by Taco Bell wrappers and empty Mountain Dew bottles. Here is another young man, as you can see, also
Don't forget to add that they're both millionaires.
dwelling in a dark cave. This one has dyed his hair blue to scare off potential predators. Unfortunately, it also scares off potential mates. But moving on, here is another young man, we think. We're not quite sure about this one. We're still studying it. Listen, Democrats, instead of spending $20 million to do that stupid maybe you should, I don't know, actually listen to men. I listen to men for free all the time. All I have to do is read my comment section. Let's see here. Shoe on Head is a perfect example of why we need to repeal the 19th. Greetings from Albania. I hate women so much it's unreal. Ooh, shoo, mommy, milkies, 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 mommy, mommy, mommy. One time I got my penis stuck in a soda bottle. Okay, on second thought, maybe my comment section is not the best source.
Since Trump scored big with young male voters last election, Democrats are spending $20 million to learn how to speak their language. I think it's a waste of money. Maybe these guys should spend their money on teaching men to not be such sexists. Maybe that's
Oh
a
my
stats
God.
don't bear that out now.
Look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash.
Oh no. The very night I was sitting on my couch writing the script to my video about how the Democrats are spending $20 million to relate to young men, this came on my TV on Fox News. A Tommy Lahren.
If women want that, they need to start saying it. They need to start acting like it. Because too many times in the last 3 years has a man been engaged and the woman called the engagement off because she got wet feet.
Aaron and Laura Ingram's segment about stay-at-home sons, men who still live at home. Literally minutes after this aired, it went absolutely viral on Twitter for not good reasons. So we are going to unpack this piece by piece. Because even though everyone was mocking it and making fun of it, as far as I saw, nobody was really dissecting it and breaking down exactly why she was so egregiously wrong. So come join me in debunking the male loser epidemic. Because who else better equipped to talk about men's issues than two stupid blonde bimbos? Hold on one second. 3 stupid blonde bimbos. Sorry. I felt left out. All right, let's go. Wait. I need my gamer fuel. See? I do drink it. That one's for you, Tectone.
It's a major problem. And you know, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave
No, they're middle-aged.
it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. But Laura, I gotta tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married.
You don't think it's the proliferation of birth control? You don't think that would be the reason why there's less kids?
want to have kids, they want to have stable families, but there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And that's why we have declining birth rates and a lot of other problems in society. It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air, meet people in real life. Let's just get back to basics.
So first of all, this stay-at-home son thing is not a real thing. It was a random throwaway, self-deprecating joke some contestant on Jeopardy said. One guy, because I guess there's nothing else important going on that they could cover on the news. They literally made this into a fake phenomena so they can on young men. Meanwhile, Democrats are spending millions of dollars trying to win back young men. Oh no, the young men are leaving us in droves. How do we get them back? Don't worry, I got this. Hey, you fat, lazy, Cheeto dust-covered slobs, f you. Nice. Thanks. I love you. I love you too. Is the amount of young men living home with their parents increasing? Yes. Is it because they're lazy bums and just want to order DoorDash all day? No. And also, they're not paying for DoorDash, Tommy. They're financing it. Come on, get with the times.
There are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And that's why we have declining birth rates. It's time to go out, get a job.
Well, there's two things. There's declining birth rates and there's larger homes. If you have an empty basement, somebody should live in it. There's a chart in another video that I did that shows the declining birth rate has gone from like 2.5 to 1.5 kids in just the last 20 years. And then there's the inverse or the reverse on another chart showing the size of homes going up. So yeah, if there's more living space per household, there's going to be more people living there. That just makes sense. I wouldn't want my kid to move. I don't want any of my kids to move out when they're 19, 20. If they're going to the college that's close to here or they start their business that's close to my house, I'd want them living in my house. Like, why would I want them to waste money paying some landlord rent?
Breathe the fresh air.
Have either of you tried applying for a job as a young man recently? Or tried buying a house on the salary of one of these young men? Have you experienced the dating market, been on the dating sites as a young man? No? Interesting, okay. Just wondering. Listen, I know the average age of a Fox News viewer is like 70 nowadays and you need to pander to them, but Tommy, you are like 2 years younger than me. You know this shit isn't true. Why are you talking like this? Why are you talking like a f***ing boomer? I'm sorry, I have no other word for this, but I hate this like generational pick-me shit. I was born in the wrong generation. I'm not like those other young people. And you know what? She's not like those other young people. Not all young people can afford a nice nose job and lip filler and get a cushy job on Fox News based entirely on merit, I'm sure. The main problem with this brain-dead boomer-ass take is not only is it cringe, but it's completely divorced from reality. This slop is specifically designed for people who paid like $5 for a f***ing house. And listen, not all boomers, okay? My parents are boomers, they are lovely people. A lot of you guys are boomers, but when the baby boomer generation sends its people, it is not sending their best. They are not sending you. They're sending people who have lots of problems. They're bringing the housing crisis. They're bringing wage stagnation. They're falling for AI-generated photos on Facebook. But some, I assume, are good people. But my god, I truly believe they do not understand how good they had it. They could support a family on a single income. A single income from a job that didn't require a college degree. Their leaders didn't prostitute away their economic future for some cheap plastic shit from China. They inherited the greatest economy known to man, and they pretend it's a paradise that they earned. I just don't understand, like, why don't boomers and spiritual boomers like Tommy Lauren see people struggling and go, wow, I wish I could fix this. They should have it better than I had it. And you wonder why so many millennials and zoomers don't want kids. I want to make the world a better place for my children. I want to make the world a better place for my children. Ugh. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you spoiled brat. Children. Not happening.
Well, look at what young women have.
Ishan says, sorry if I said your name wrong. I rent a room for $1,100. A room for $1,100 a month and live with 6 roommates. Shit's tough right now. Yeah, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. This is what I think. If prices were to go down on vehicles, food, clothing, all your other expenses, then landlords are just going to raise their rents up. Because as long as they can squeeze money out of people and force people to pay for things or pay more, then they're just going to keep raising their rent. Perfectly logical.
Have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men.
Young men are becoming lazy because they're becoming feminized. So they're becoming lazy because they act more like women? What did she mean by this, chat? I know there's like a decrease in testosterone or something happening, but men are moving right-wing all over the world. Does that correlate with the feminization? Or, I mean, there are suspiciously a lot of far-right femboys, so maybe. But here's the thing, Tammy. There is absolutely no evidence that young women want to start families more than young men. None. In fact, all the data says the exact opposite. According to Pew Research, 64% of women younger than 50 say they just don't want to have children. No reason, they just don't want them. Versus 50% of men who say the same. Another study by Archbridge Institute shows the same. 63% of women without children said they have no desire to have a child, while only 50% of men said the same. For men, the most commonly cited factor was personal finance, but among women, the strongest reason not to have a child was their desire to maintain their personal independence. Basically, they don't want to give up their brunch and mimosas. They've been ass-blasted with propaganda their whole lives, telling them their lives will be ruined, their bodies will be ruined, they'll never have fun again, they'll be miserable forever if they have children. And as someone who has had a children, best decision I've ever made. 10/10, highly recommend, would do it again. But yes, this idea that men are the ones primarily responsible for the low birth rates is laughable. We're laughing over here. But honestly, it's not really women or men's fault. There are a lot of factors that play into this. But Tommy, I really gotta ask, is it men or is it you?
This is going to be the summer of canceling boys. All of my friends are attractive. All of my friends are successful. All of my friends have something going on. Almost every single one of them have an issue with men. But if all of these women, including myself, are having issues, then I have to think it might not be us. It might be you. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. Quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country.
Don't the women pick in a relationship? Don't the women choose who they're going to be with?
My friends are successful. Men don't give a shit about that. They'd marry a Walmart cashier if she was nice to them.
I think men between the ages of 20 and 30 are not ready, in most cases, for marriage, are usually not ready to be husbands and fathers.
Yeah, you think that. And you're probably a lot of girls think that. But here's the secret. This is why people aren't having kids, because they think they're not ready. Who in the hell was ready in the 1950s to have a kid in their 20s? Who was ready in the 1960s to have a kid in their 20s? Nobody's ready to have a kid. It's part of the process. You learn as you go. It's so obvious. Some of this stuff is so, just think about it. When somebody tells me they don't want to have kids, and they never, ever are going to have kids. And then 99% of the people who said that ended up having kids later on, said they're glad they had kids. Then I'm going to tell that person who says they don't want kids and they're never going to have kids that they're probably wrong. You can't extrapolate into the future about how you're going to feel in the future.
Others.
That's a cultural issue. So look,
No, I would actually, back to your point, I think it's a biological thing.
So let me get this straight. Men are all trash and won't commit and won't leave mommy's basement, and they're destroying the birth rates. But also young men are biologically incapable of commitment and being...
Hold on. Hard to afford a family when you can barely afford to take care of yourself. Are you alive? Are you taking care of yourself? Poor people have had kids for thousands, for millions of years. Poor people have had kids. And now there's help from government. They will help with your kids. Family will help with kids. Friends will help with kids.
Being parents.
Go to church. Become a Christian. Or whatever. Go to any church. Doesn't matter. They'll help.
What? But wait, there's more! She also believes women don't have to bring anything to the table.
And as a woman, I want a strong man.
Again, you're not going to be financially ready when you first have a kid. Why would you? That's not even how careers work. People don't make good money in their early 20s. They get a career and they grow and they make more money. Kids motivate you to work harder. At least they motivate me. They motivate everyone I know. They motivate every single one of my siblings.
Man who is a protector and a provider, that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Never before in history have women demanded so much and offered so little. So before we get deeper into this retarded, manufactured, stay-at-home son narrative, let's check the Facebook comments of this Fox News video, because I am really interested to see what, like, the typical Fox News viewer thinks about this. If the women are anything like these two, I can hardly blame the men for staying home and not wanting to date them. Blame, blame, blame. These two women have a combined age of 90.
I'm 5'5". Women told me I'm 5'5", and women told me to my face they don't want short kids. I appreciate it though, bro. You don't think there's a single man who is 5'5", who has had kids, who has had children? You've never met one in your entire life? You've never been to the grocery store? You've never been to a Costco and looked around at all the fat, ugly slobs walking around with girlfriends?
93, and they have 0 children between both of them. You both have repugnant personality types, so listening to this was like male birth control to me. My goodness! Boomers are ruthless! Bunch of sissies. I served 6 years, 2 years in Southeast Asia after Vietnam was over. When I was 18, rent was $450 and I could afford to get my own place. She's so spot on. Nothing screams I'm a loser run from me than a guy living at home in his parents' house with his 12-year-old boy's bedroom decor at age of 30. Thank God we raised our sons to be men, who grew up, lived on their own, found their soulmate, got married, bought a beautiful home, and started a family. I was out the door at 18, worked on the assembly line at Dodge and in the Air Force at 19, never went back home. I can't relate to this.
Yeah, where do you think that assembly line is now? It's in Mexico. I guess we're all moving to Mexico.
Yes, we know you people can't relate. We know. But the world has changed. Why can't you people get this through your heads? I will never let my sons stay home. I'm trying to push them out of the nest. Okay, I really gotta ask, is this an Anglo thing? Immediately kicking your kid out when they turn 18 years old? My Mediterranean mind cannot comprehend this. And honestly, why the f would a man leave home, leave his mother's cooking, for a woman who probably can't cook? Not me though. Personally, I can cook amazing homemade meals. I'll have you know what?
Oh, raw meat eater. I said, people complain that they can't find a woman because they're short or they're ugly. If you go to Walmart, Costco, any theme park, just theme parks are great because usually they're going as couples and they're bringing their kids. You will see couples who are ones all the way up to couples who are tens. The wide variety of them. You're not going to see that on TV because beautiful people are represented on TV. Beautiful people are represented on YouTube. It's privilege. It's pretty privilege. Yes, there is such a thing. In fact, I think it is the main privilege over anything else, over race, over sex. If you're good looking, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what sex you are, you have more privilege than anybody else. However, if you're a 4 or a 3, you can get 3s and 4s and 5s. And like I said, walk around the theme park, you'll see some of them getting 6s and 7s. Because looks aren't the only thing. Height isn't the only thing. Is it going to be harder for you to find a woman if you're 5'5"? Yes. Are there 3 billion women in the world? Yes. So don't give me this bullshit, woe is me, that you can't get a woman because you're 5'5". Go find a woman who's 5 foot. Go find a woman that's 4'9". You're taller than them. You think a 5-foot woman wants to be with a 6'8" guy? You think a 6'8" guy wants to be with a 5 foot tall woman? Well, maybe.
You know I am a great trad wife.
Water. I didn't think I was going to talk this much.
Bone apple teeth. Now, unfortunately, Tommy Lauren wasn't the only one pushing this stupid lazy young men go get a job bullshit. Mike Johnson did it, referencing 29-year-old men playing video games all day. Steve Scalise did it with 35-year-old men playing video games all day. And just the other night, I saw this on my TV. Again.
A Wall Street Journal headline got our attention. The new dream job for young men, stay at
JB, if you say it one more time, I'm going to block you. You sound like an idiot.
home son. It's a phrase that's taken off since 27-year-old.
And it's not working for you anyways.
Brendan Leo won $59,000 on Jeopardy. And he has a master's degree in political science, but he's unemployed. Grow up, get a job, get a wife, build a family.
Just get a wife, bro. Just get a job, bro.
Oh, get a job? Yeah. Just get a job? Why don't I strap on my job helmet and squeeze down into a job cannon and fire off into jobland, where jobs grow on jobbies?
The term welfare queen must have fell out of fashion with Republicans, because it seems even they know the approved safe demographic to go after now. Because it's very obvious what demographic they are talking about when they say young men in their basements playing video games. This just get a job lazy attitude is not surprising, but it's especially funny coming from Fox News of all places. Fox News that spends so much time yapping about immigrants taking American jobs. Fox News will talk for years about how Americans are being screwed out of the workforce. But when this issue manifests itself in Gen Z, suddenly it's a moral failure. The fact is, a lot of American jobs held by men are being lost to automation, offshoring, and yes, cheap foreign labor. Companies and billionaires would rather have cheap labor that they can essentially abuse, not pay fair wages to, just good little worker drones who won't unionize, rather than hire American workers for a living wage. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money they make. I remember when Bernie Sanders called open borders a Koch brothers conspiracy.
Open borders?
Open
borders. That's a Koch brothers proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But it
Anybody
would make a lot of the global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state.
Where'd that guy go? A lot of these jobs being taken are jobs traditionally held by men, like construction and factory jobs, manual labor work. But it's not just manual labor jobs, it's also the tech industry and business industry, which are
I was muted, but I made a very important point about how Bernie is a coward and will say whatever he needs to say in order to make money in politics.
careers also mainly held by men. There are many examples of this, such as Microsoft recently cutting thousands of American workers while requesting 14,000 more H-1B workers this year. Some of those job positions include data scientists, which are 70% men, software developers, which are 80% men, and electronic engineers, which are 90% men, and many more like that. Another example of this was Tesla, where roughly 15,000 American employees were fired in April 2024, and many were replaced with H-1B visa holders. On Twitter, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy tried to chalk this up to these immigrants just simply being the best and the brightest. Yeah, okay. You're paying them less for longer hours and more work, and they're willing to deal with it in order to stay in the country. It's coercive, exploitative, and, dare I say, not very America first. When conservatives confronted Elon Musk for this last year, he told somebody, and I quote, "Take a big step back and yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend." So when it comes to replacing American workers in manual labor with cheap foreign labor, it's deport, deport, deport. But when it comes to replacing his American workers with cheap foreign labor, it's yourself in the face. Interesting. There's also affirmative action and DEI.
I'm so glad you took the right side on this. H-1B is theft. You're stealing talent from other countries who their citizens pay taxes to educate, to raise. Why is that okay? Why is it okay for a country that is trying to come up, and be competitive in the world? Why is it okay to take their best and brightest? They have a social contract with their country. They either have that or they don't. And if they do, then it's not okay for us to just come in and take their talent. That they have an entire society and welfare and whatever social programs they have that supported that child.
which are other things Fox News always pisses and shits about. But suddenly, when the conversation is about Gen Z men, the demographic of people who are victims of these things, suddenly these things just like don't exist anymore. Then it's, oh, young men are all just lazy. They just want to be in their parents' basement ordering DoorDash and playing video games. But it's not just the brown people taking your jobs. I am not beating the allegations with this one. The brown people are not taking your jobs, okay? It's not their fault. They're just cheaper. Aim upwards. But it's not just the brown people taking your jobs. It's the women, too. Many of the dying industries are male-dominated, while many of the growing industries are female-dominated, and stigma around these jobs being woman jobs usually stops men from working them. Women are overwhelmingly entering and excelling in college and the workforce.
I don't know if I believe that. I don't think that's why men don't go into it.
People are not taking your jobs, okay? It's not their fault. They're just cheaper. Aim upwards. But it's not just the brown people taking your jobs. It's the women, too. Many of the dying industries are male-dominated, while many of the growing industries are female-dominated, and stigma around these jobs being woman jobs usually stops men from working them. Women are...
Can somebody come up with some examples in the comments of what you'd be talking about? Maybe a massage therapist? Maybe nursing? Are there some that I'm not thinking of? Because I can't. What is a female job that men wouldn't do? I mean, other than, you know, what is a? In fact, some men would do that. What is a female job men wouldn't do? Wouldn't do or have a stigma around? Nurses, preschool teachers, and childcare providers. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. These jobs are often considered female-dominated. Yeah, it's like 95% of elementary school teachers are women. No wonder our kids are so screwed up. Not because women are bad, but think of it. You're around women all through K through the first 12 years of your life. You hardly see any men, except for when you get sent to the principal's office.
Are overwhelmingly entering and excelling in college and the workforce, and they're more flexible about job position and pay, while young men usually hold out for higher paying, higher position jobs that will make them the breadwinner. Because you see, despite the world progressing and the role of women changing, the role of men has not changed. Every woman is a feminist until the dinner bill comes. But what's crazy is, women might be the ones paying that dinner bill soon. A study from the UK found women aged 22 to 29 earned about $1,000 more annually than men, completely reversing the traditional gender pay gap for this age group. In the US, a 2022 Pew Research Center analysis showed that women under 30 out-earned men in many metropolitan areas, with median earnings at or above 100% of men's, in cities like New York and Washington, D.C. That might not sound like a lot of money now, but it's a growing trend that has never been seen before. It's so bad that it's really starting to affect the dating world. American women have never been this resigned to...
Yeah, see, this is what I don't get. If I'm a single man in my early 20s, and I want to find a wife that's got a career, and family is important to me, why wouldn't I go into teaching? All my coworkers are going to be women. Why wouldn't I go into nursing? All my coworkers are going to be nurses.
To staying single. They are responding to major demographic shifts, including huge and growing gender gaps.
Not only that, but while I'm in school, going into that career, all of my classmates are going to be women. This is like the secret that male cheerleaders figured out. It just expanded into the career.
Gaps in economic and educational attainment, political affiliation, and beliefs about what family should look like. More women than men are attending college, buying houses, and focusing...
It depends on what you mean, Saul. Saul asks, why do so many people want wives so fast like it's 1804? Because once a woman is married, she's married. So all the good ones get married right away. So the sooner you can get married, or if you're targeting, like if you're 30, let's say, it's going to be, you're going to find a better woman who's under 25. You can still marry an older woman. I'm married to an older woman. But yeah, that's the reason why people want to get married as quick as they can. And not only that, you can have a kid. If you have kids in your early 20s, then you'll be in like your late 40s or their 40s when they go off to college. And then you can actually have a second half of your life doing things that you want to do. And they'll have grandkids, but you can take the grandkids with you to the Grand Canyon. How about that?
Focusing on their friendships and careers over dating and marriage. The challenges of finding a romantic partner have been made more complicated by a growing divide in education and career prospects between men and women. In 2024, 40% of American women ages 25 to 34 had a bachelor's degree, according to Pew, compared to 37% of men. A bachelor's degree increases net lifetime earnings by an estimated $1 million. Women are doing comparatively well when it comes to education in their early years in the labor force, and men are doing comparatively badly. Men's economic struggles seem to be having the biggest effect on women without a college degree, whose marriage rates by 45 have plummeted to 52% for those born between 1930 and 1980, according to research by Cornell University. Young men without a degree are struggling so much as a group that there simply aren't enough with steady jobs and earnings for non-college women to date. Men are poor, women most affected. Modern women are no longer tied to their gender role. Birth control has freed them from the prison that is their biology, and they are making their own money, sometimes more than men. They can have it all, they can do anything, they can be anything. While at the same time, men are still expected to be the provider. And more importantly, many men still want to be the provider, but they can't. And women, though strong and independent, still want men to be the provider.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money.
Basically, men are like, we're worried we're not making enough money. And women are like, we're worried men are not making enough money. Hello class, I am Miss On Head. I am substituting for your teacher today. She was arrested for molesting a 12-year-old boy. So today we are learning about
That's ironic.
the graph. This is the growth in productivity versus hourly compensation graph. And you can trace almost everything bad happening in society back to this graph. As you can see, productivity increased while compensation barely grew over the same time period. Notice they tracked very closely up until around 1972. Now, what happened around 1972, class? Well, the top marginal tax rate was reduced from 70% in 1964 to 50% by 1981. The federal minimum wage began to stagnate. Income going to the 1% rose from 9% in the 60s to 16% in 2023. CEOs also went from making 20 times more than the average worker to making 350 times more than the average worker. Anything else? Anything else happen around 1972? Yes, Jimmy, that is correct. Women joined the workforce around this time, but we don't have to get into that today. The fact is, hard work no longer guarantees success, and the will to work is tied to the fruits of your labor. And young men are fed up today because 90% of that fruit is rotten. Now, is there some truth to modern young people being lazy? Sure, I guess. Every generation had lazy people. And we do basically live in late-stage mouse utopia, after all. Young people today are faced with two options: revolution or escapism. And a lot of them are choosing escapism. Many have
Gaming, Netflix, porn. There's plenty of very low-cost things to do. Like what we're doing right now.
Have basically given up, but it's not like they didn't try. They tried, and they found out the juice just isn't worth the squeeze, whether it's college, dating, or the job market. And in a way, many young men are kind of choosing revolution. The never before
Coffee Enjoyer is 100% right. Going off the gold standard was the dumbest thing we could have possibly done for the future.
foreseen large shift rightward in young men is a small revolution in a way. They're saying, this isn't working for me, this sucks, I hate this, I want something different. This is also manifesting on the Democrat side in general. The young men that are still voting left are voting further left. You saw this recently in New York City, where Zohran Mamdani, a self-proclaimed Democratic socialist, won the Democratic primary. Young men are tired of the establishment, left and right. They're tired of the system, and they want to burn it down and start again. They want something that works for them, because this is not working for them.
If you wake up one morning and you find yourself in a society where 23-year-olds with four-year college degrees and like initiative who aren't smoking weed every day, if they can't make enough to buy a car much less a home, much less get married, much less have children, then why should you be surprised when half of them say they prefer socialism?
Huh. Fox News should hire that guy. There is an entire generation of fighting-aged men who are enraged and feel like they have nothing to live for. You should probably start caring. When they saw this...
The whole socialism thing has completely been a ball and chain around the Republican Party for at least the last 2 decades. Just look at the charts. Just look at the income inequality. In order for you to retire at this point, you have to start investing in the stock market early, because the returns on the stock market are so much drastically higher than the returns on hard work. Just being an asset owner has never made you more money in the history of humankind than it has in the last 20 years. Just owning things. It's getting harder and harder to get to that point. It's very demoralizing to look at Bitcoin price doubling in the last 12 months. So if you had $100,000 and you just put it in Bitcoin, it's worth $200,000 and you've done nothing because you happen to have money already. You happen to have assets. Look at the stock market. It's the same way. Young men can see that now. They all have the internet. They all have Robinhood. They can see what the stock values of these are. They can see what the S&P 500 is doing. They're demoralized. They're demoralized because they can make more money owning Amazon than they can working at Amazon.
This airing on Fox News, they saw an angry woman nagging in their faces about how everything wrong in the world is their fault. An all too familiar thing they have been hearing for far too long. But unfortunately for Democrats, nobody under the age of 60 watches Fox News, so this is not really going to have an effect on young men whatsoever. So keep that $20 million. You might still need it. Unless we get dragged into another war in the Middle East. If we do get dragged into another war in the Middle East, young men might come running back to the Democratic Party. Maybe not. Maybe not even a George Bush II electric boogaloo will have men coming back to the Democratic Party. Hopefully we don't find out. And as I'm editing this right now, a lot of young people, even the podcast bros, seem pretty upset about the Epstein thing, but we know Democrats won't take advantage of the situation in order to protect the Clintons, so maybe not even this will save them, but we'll see, I guess. Hold on one second. That's better. So that was that video. What do you think of the male loser epidemic? Do you agree with Tommy Lauren? Is it all men's fault? Leave your comments below. I read them all. I am probably reading them right now as you type them. Wait, don't write that. No. You can't say that. No, it doesn't matter if it's with an A. If you like this video, please subscribe, and if you can, donate to me on Patreon or leave a little tip with the little tip jar down below. I'll give it a little heart. It helps the channel, and I appreciate it so much. And I will see you guys again soon with a new video, a new slop video, because I know you gremlins love that shit. Bye! The Hollywood-crafted modern woman, this woman does need her. Men. What do they want? Money? Status? Fast, expensive cars? What is the ultimate male fantasy? Is it fame? Fortune? 3 hot chicks at once? Haha, hell yeah, brother. No, according to men on the internet, it's something a little more simple.
I don't...
This is literally just a fetish. I fucking hate men so much. Men are why we can't have nice things. As I was working on an upcoming video, I made the terrible mistake of logging onto Twitter, where I saw this post. A montage from the anime Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish, a movie about a college student who is assigned to take care of a paraplegic girl, and spoiler, eventually they fall in love. Many men were yearn posting in the replies of this tweet and talking about how they wish to fall in love and would love a relationship like this, while many others, mostly women, were absolutely f***ing disgusted at this. Why would a bunch of men be fantasizing about being with a woman in a wheelchair? Seems pretty creepy and predatory, right? Also just unrealistic and problematic. Well, in this video, we are going to be talking about why so many men resonated to that clip and this movie, and why so many people are so confused as to why. We are also going to be reading some absolutely unhinged tweets, as usual, to get to the bottom of why such a wholesome post turned into, once again, another battlefront for the ongoing, never-ending gender war. Men versus women, women versus men, the male loneliness epidemic, the female loneliness epidemic, the dealing with dating apps. Do men prefer thin women or curvy women? Brunettes or blondes? Do women like dad bods or fit men? Do they like beards or clean-shaven? Oh yeah, that reminds me. Let's quickly get into today's sponsor, Henson Shaving. You ever just accept that some products are just garbage? Like, for years I thought ripping your tights on the first wear was just a part of being a human woman. We just accepted that. That's just how it is, sweetie. But that shouldn't be how it is. It's a bad design. And that's why I like Henson Shaving. Because if you've ever used a multi-blade razor, you're probably sick of the irritation, the razor burn, the overpriced blades, and you probably think, that's just the way it is.
I'm going to tell you a secret to keep your blade sharp. Get some baby oil. After you're done shaving, just put your razor down in like a cap of baby oil, and it'll keep the blade from rusting out.
But it doesn't have to be how it is. Thanks to Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving is on a mission to improve shaving, with no gimmicky subscriptions or moisturizing strips, but with real innovation and a focus on your skin's health. What really sets Henson apart is their engineering, with their Henson AL13 safety razor being manufactured in an aerospace machine shop that built parts for the International Space Station. This precision allows the blade to extend just 1/1000th of an inch beyond the shave plane, less than the thickness of a human hair. The razor prevents any bouncing or skipping, resulting in an irritation-free shave every time. And here's the best part, once you invest in a Henson razor, it's a lifetime purchase. The only thing you'll need to replace are the blades, which literally cost only 10 cents each. So once you own the razor, you'll be spending like $3 to $5 on blades, compared to the ongoing cost of buying expensive plastic cartridges. Henson's store offers a variety of colors and even a titanium version, so you can pick the razor that best fits your style. So if you're tired of razor burn and overpaying for blades, now is the perfect time to make the switch. Just head over to hensonshaving.com/shoe and add both a Henson razor and the 100 blades to your car, and then enter code SHOE at checkout to get the 100 blades for free with your purchase. Your skin, your wallet, and your environment will thank you. Big thanks to Henson Razor for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. You didn't skip the ad, right? Now let's get back to the video.
And if I'm going to use your video, I'm at least going to let your sponsors get what they paid for. Matt Walsh, I guess, is back from his vacation. Did you already watch this one? Who said this? Sarah?
Now, of course, we have no idea what information, if any, this sociopath, this evil woman will ultimately reveal. But the fact remains that, especially after the humiliating display by Bondi and the DOJ we've all just witnessed, it's probably worth listening to Maxwell's testimony. If a client list exists at this point, she's the most likely person to tell us. Now, yes, it's an indictment of Pam Bondi and the DOJ that we see any reason to listen to a ghoul like this, but that's where we are. Millions of Americans are not satisfied with what we've been told. And we shouldn't be, because it's been contradictory and insulting to our intelligence every step of the way. So now we're looking elsewhere. This is what happens when people are deceived and strung along for years, only to be told that they're not entitled to any kind of transparency whatsoever. People are not just going to move on with their lives, no matter how badly you want them to. And there's a reason for that. And I want to make this very clear.
This is so refreshing to hear from Matt Walsh. I always get worried that he's going to fall in line with the Daily Wire, because every time you don't go along with Ben Shapiro's opinion on something, you tend to become independent within like a month. Candace Owens. Who else? Brett Cooper. I mean, who knows what they disagreed on. But this is good. I'm glad, because as far as I understand, Ben Shapiro just wants everybody to move on and not worry about it. And he's just going to say, trust. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure his opinion is move on.
to those on the right, including the president himself, who are telling us to just drop the subject and move on. We can't drop it. We can't move on, because what we want is justice. We have a deep desire for justice. And we can see how the corrupt and the powerful are never held accountable. We can look at our cities and see violent criminals running rampant in the streets, also not held accountable. We want these evildoers to be punished. We want the innocent to be defended. We want justice. It's one of the most basic and most honorable of all human desires. We want to see that justice is done. We want to know who else was in those awful videos that Pam Bondi told us about. And we want those people to be dragged in front of us, weeping and begging for mercy. We want them exposed and humiliated and shamed and punished in the harshest and most painful way. Because
this is so important, because there are several people in my life who have done the whole, let's move on, there's more important things, there's floods going on. Conservatives who fell in line, who sucked the big D of the R, and just said, let's stop talking about it. And I know they're all Matt Walsh fans. So I'm glad Matt Walsh is back. I'm going to have to send this to all of them, because, you know, they can't form their own opinions. They'll just take the opinion of the people they like. So good. I'm glad that they can agree with me now, since their boy agrees with me.
Because that's justice. And we're not going to drop the subject until we get it. So unseal everything, including the search warrants and the financial disclosures. Tell us what exactly was in those truckloads of documents that you recovered in New York. Show us the phase 2 Epstein files that you told us about just a few months ago. In other words, don't give us any more excuses from bureaucrats on Fox News.
I was muted again. 100% Matt Walsh is held back by the Daily Wire. 100%. There are things he does not say because his daddy is from a certain country and is loyal to a certain country. And by daddy, I mean Ben.
News. Don't give us any more stonewalling and doublespeak. We've seen more than enough of that in this case and so many others. Instead, for a change, give us something we're not used to seeing from the federal government and the DOJ. Give us justice.
Holy shit, I'm muted again. I'm just going to leave it unmuted from now on. Well, for one thing, the Trump administration explicitly promised this information multiple times from multiple top officials in very clear and unambiguous terms. We're entitled to the things that are promised to us by definition. Secondly, but more importantly, the public has a right to know which of the powerful people who rule over their lives are sex criminals and pedophiles. Okay, this is fantastic. Oh, here's another one. This is one I did see earlier. Up until 10 seconds ago, there was I don't know why I'm not reading that right. Up until 10 seconds ago, there was unanimous agreement that Epstein was a pedophile and child sex trafficker with high-profile clientele who all must be exposed and brought to justice. Now, out of the blue, we're being told that none of that is true, and anyone who believes this thing that everyone believed is a whack job and a conspiracy theorist. This is the kind of shameless 180-degree, unexplained pivot that leftists typically specialize in, and it's very weird to see it happening on the right. Yeah, good.
Now, I am not an anime connoisseur. In fact, I basically know nothing about anime. I am probably the most tourist of all the tourists. Yeah, hi. I have a question. Was the upskirt shot necessary in order to advance the plot? I watched Pokemon and Sailor Moon when I was a kid, and a few years ago I watched Beastars on Netflix. Legoshi, best boy. Not a furry, by the way. And honestly, that's about it for my anime consumption. Unless you're counting VTubers. If you're counting VTubers, I watch a lot of anime. But because of this clip going viral, I watched Josie the Tiger and the Fish, and, well, I thought it was a good movie. I recommend watching it. I thought it was a really cute, good story. I only cried a little bit. And I completely understood what the tweet meant by calling it the average male fantasy. So, what was wrong with it? Why did this clip go so viral in such a negative way? Why were thousands of people angry at this post? Well, let us dilly-dally no longer and read some of these angry replies to get a better understanding of what the issue is, shall we? Wholesome male fantasy, and it's fetishizing a disabled girl for him to control. Oh no. They think, oh god, why? Always vulnerable, always happy, always needs you. Pretty perverted. Where are these fan fictions coming from? There were like hundreds of tweets just like this. Why did they see a cute montage of a happy couple, a man and a woman happy, together? I know, unheard of. Why did they see that and then immediately come to these conclusions? Like, as someone who actually watched the movie, Josie is not always happy, and she's absolutely not portrayed as some, like, vulnerable, ooh-woo, sex doll waifu. She's boisterous, she kind of has a foul mouth, she's very sassy and headstrong, she like straight up calls him her servant, but she was also very depressed. She basically never left her house, she was basically a girl failure.
Guys, that's the last time, I promise. What I was saying is, this is essentially what Disney was. That's Rapunzel. That's the princess that's waiting for a male to come and rescue her.
Failure. As a former girl failure, I love to see representation in media. But they actually show her disability, like,
no more muting.
Not in a good way. Like, they don't romanticize it, they don't sugarcoat it. And I noticed, unlike a lot of movies, unlike a lot of romance movies, at least like the Hallmark kind, where it's like the stuffy male lead learning to live life from the quirky, cute female lead, he's already got his shit together. And she learns to live life from him. He encourages her to live her dreams. And in return, he learns to live life in a completely different way. And I thought that was really cool and sweet. Also, the animation was really good. Is anime good? Have I been sleeping on anime this entire time? His fantasy is that she becomes permanently disabled and help.
Some anime is good. Some of it's whack.
Hopelessly dependent on him, but can still make him a sandwich. Sounds about right. Oh my god, after watching the movie, these tweets are even more insane. But even putting the movie aside, just seeing that like cute montage out of context, where the fuck are they getting this? These are very clearly just two happy people. But because the caption was the average male fantasy, their mind immediately goes to the darkest, worst faith interpretation of this. The problem is these people can't see any humanity in men. They can't see any humanity in humanity in general. Average male fantasy equals girlfriend with no agency who's completely physically dependent on you and forced into blanket subservience and compliance. Sounds about right. You males are weird for fetishizing physically disabled women. Average male fantasy is having a physically disabled girl that they can abuse however they want. Got it. Not to be that guy. I'm gonna be that guy.
Has she been on Instagram where there is the hot Down syndrome girls and then scrolling down to the comments, if she's down, I'm down type comments? There's a case to be made, but maybe not with somebody who's in a wheelchair.
The infantilization of the physically disabled here is a little, dare I say, ableist. The implication here that people in wheelchairs cannot find love, and if they do, the person who loves them literally just loves them because they can't run away. Weird. Average men can't even be nice to their healthy and normal girlfriend. What makes you think they'll be able to handle a disabled person as their lover? Whoa, normal? What do you mean by normal? These people are just so ableist, chat. Can you believe it? Chat? Chat? I don't even live stream. Who's chat? I'm disabled, blind, so I showed this to my boyfriend. He says, I love you because you're you, and you make my days happier.
Hey, question for you, chat. Obviously, if somebody's disabled, free game, obviously, of course. But what about with Down syndrome? If you're normal functioning, is it okay to date somebody with the average person with Down syndrome? Because I know there's a spectrum.
So what if I have to drive you places or help you with cooking and cleaning? I would have done that anyway. Disability has nothing to do with it. I love you. Ma'am, I don't know how to tell you this, but, your boyfriend is a rapist. Sorry you had to find out this way. You show this as fantasy because it's not true for the majority of men who participate in abuse of disabled people. No, the fantasy is the woman appreciates his efforts to make her happy. Stop lying and abusing women and the disabled. Your meds, schizo. You don't even know that f***ing guy. What do you mean stop abusing women and the disabled? Bitch, who are you? Also, the majority of men participate in abuse of disabled people. Are you okay? The majority of men are not abusers. That is a very, very small minority of men. The majority.
All right, we got a caller. Maybe it's somebody with Down syndrome that thinks they have a chance.
Call from
Solo agent.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2. Call from
Sosa.
To
majority of men are men that just wake up, take a shit, get out of bed, take a shower, go to work, come home, and wait for GTA 6 to come out. That is the majority of men. Men commit 95% of all rape, but okay. Barging into the romance section of Barnes & Noble like, attention everyone! Rape! Where is that coming from? So close, this is fetish content. Ah yes, the dirtiest, most taboo of all fetishes.
Call from
a happy relationship. That might be true. Oh, you want a wife and kids? You sick fuck. But this is literally just a perverted fantasy, LMAO. You think it's a perverted fantasy because, how do I put this nicely? You are a pervert. Literally seeing a cute montage of a male and female character having fun together, being in love together, and being like, rape! He's a rapist! This is a fetish! Are these people okay? Stop watching porn. Wait, this is a woman. Okay, stop reading Taken by the Werewolf Billionaire. Or whatever the fuck you read. I swear to God, some of the shit women read would make the most depraved internet gooner blush. Or so I've been told. This is literally just a fetish. Okay, listen, I'm not gonna pretend there's nobody out there who's like, she can't run away, she has no legs. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend there's nobody out there who has a crippled, disabled fetish, okay? I've been on the internet for 20 years. I've been on DeviantArt. I've seen shit you wouldn't believe. But the majority of people, probably most, if not all the people responding to this, do not have a cripple fetish, okay? In fact, her being in a wheelchair basically has nothing to do with it. Much like how females coom over, like, vampires or, like I said before, the billionaire werewolf fantasy. This is just the average male fantasy distilled down to its most extreme. So what is the average male fantasy? The average male fantasy is the fantasy of both men and women alike. It is simply to love and to be loved. But more specifically, the male fantasy is to be a protector and a provider for those that they love. Put a pin in this because we are going to come back to this in a big way, trust me. The average male fantasy is being a globally known terrorist. The average male fantasy is that a woman who isn't fat. The average male fantasy is actually job security. You know what? These guys may have a point here. Pedophile alert. Men want disabled child wives. Average male fantasy is a disabled child. More proof that men are pedos. That's a little girl. This is weird. So, first of all, she's literally older than the guy. The guy is 22 and she is 24. In anime years, he is practically hag maxing. And yes, she may be physically disabled, but aren't all men mentally disabled in their own special way? At least the ones in my audience. they will freely admit this. Maybe she, the older woman, is taking advantage of this sensitive young man. Have you ever thought of that? She looks like an 11-year-old child. Where are her breasts? First of all, really weird way to say that. She looks like a child. Show me her titties. Also, I love how, like, when anime women have huge boobs, it's disgusting, Coomer brain or whatever. But if the anime woman has small boobs, she is a child and you're a chimo. Can't fucking win. Also, if she had big boobs, they'd absolutely be like, wow, look at this sexualization of the disabled. Also, you know, like, adult women can be flat-chested, right? Like, that actually exists in real life. Like, adult human women can have small boobs. We love all titties here on the Shoe on Head channel. All titties is good titties. End of story. Women fantasy. A boyfriend with depth and the loving, soft, deeply caring side of them. Men's fantasy. 12-year-old anime girl who looks and speaks like a toddler. Also notice how she's literally the shape and size of a child. Yuck. Have you people ever seen a child? No, you're all childless. Silly me. She's not even that short, she's just sitting. See, like when they're laying side by side, she's like a full-grown adult woman. Why do these people look at this and immediately think of child rape? Go to therapy. And listen, I know with anime it can get a little weird, right? Like, excuse me, Poo Poo Pee Pee Chan is 2,000 years old and this is Poo Poo Pee Pee Chan. But this does not even look like a child. This looks like a cute woman. This is like a random rant, but I feel like there are no more cute women nowadays. You know what I mean? You have all like the Insta baddies, the e-thots, the e-girls, the muscle mommies, the boss babes, the boy babes. But I feel like every woman is just hot now. Which, by the way, I don't think is healthy for the male psyche whatsoever. You shouldn't wake up and be able
I don't know how that got muted. It wasn't me. I would agree that she does have the build. I would originally have thought she was built like a child or a teenager, but I drove past a college campus like a week ago. Everyone looked like a kid to me, but they were all in their 20s. Made no sense.
be able to scroll through pictures of like the hottest woman you've ever seen in your life like 20 times before you've had like your morning cup of coffee. You shouldn't log in and immediately be one-shotted by 10 tens all day, as if that wouldn't make you go insane, as if that wouldn't make you
So the mute button is right at the top of my mic, and it's not really a button. It's just touch sensitive, like a touch screen. And so if I try and move my mic, I'll sometimes accidentally hit the mute button. So I'm just not even going to touch the mic.
crash out. Like back in the day, you'd probably see like one fine dame on your bus ride to work, and you'd think about her for 40 years until the day you die. That's how it used to be. That's how it should be. Now every woman is like a crazy, hot, unobtainable Instagram goddess with the fattest of ass. Zoomers don't know how good we had it. You'd go to Blockbuster and the 21-year-old cashier behind the counter would be the most adorable woman you've ever seen. No Botox, no lip filler, just a pure soul, full of joy and whimsy. And now women are full of hate and SSRIs. But they're hot. They're hotter than they've ever been. They're hotter and more depressed than they've ever been in history. Sad. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, anime. I didn't take my Vyvanse today, could you tell? Men's fantasy. A big titty woman with the face of a 16-year-old that is useful for cooking, cleaning, and sex. Women's fantasy. Gets treated like a queen and a man who keeps tracks of our periods so he can take care of us. I think I speak for a lot of women here when I say our fantasies do not, in fact, include men tracking our periods. Personally, if my husband was like, honey, just a reminder you're in your luteal phase, I'm taking the kids. Men like to pretend they want this, and then they beat their wife when dinner isn't ready or their son when he's misbehaving. First of all, I'm sorry that happened to you. But there are in fact good men out there. I've seen them. Some may be in this very audience. Sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face. This is the Shoe on Head audience. You're all gremlins. Male fantasy equals a woman that can't run away from him. A woman that's dependent on him. Interesting. When men are involved, it's basic survival instinct to assume the worst. Men are guilty until they prove themselves innocent. You know what? I take my opinions back on free speech. I changed my mind. No more free speech. No more free speech until you bitches learn to behave. A woman's fantasy is a man who won't rape her, and a man's fantasy is raping a woman. I'm sorry, where is the rape, ma'am? Maybe that's how you see it, because you're brainwashed to hate men. So true. I hate how, but in reality, women are the real demons here. Oh, god damn it. We just want a happy relationship. Is it so much to ask for? Yes. Yes, it is. Oh look, more misogynistic gooner fantasy slop written by misogynistic gooner men. This is why 70% of anime is garbage. So here's the thing, that misogynistic gooner fantasy slop written by misogynistic gooner men was actually written by Saiko Tanabe, a woman. A woman wrote this story. And I feel like a very important detail everyone is sleeping on when they covered this was the fact that this is very much the female fantasy as well. A man loving you for who you are despite...
Coffee enjoyer, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but your comment, a woman's behavior has large impact on attractiveness. She could be a 10-10, but becomes insufferable once they open their mouth. The biggest hack for any woman who is struggling to keep their man happy is literally all you have to do is just be grateful, show gratitude. That's 99% of it. Some men will say you got to sleep with them at least X amount of times a week. 90% of men just want gratitude, to feel like what they're doing is helping. But if you're just constantly criticizing your man, of course they're not going to be happy. And what's crazy to me, this is the thing I don't quite understand. And if women figured this out, they could change their own trajectory. You have to breathe confidence into your man. If you're constantly saying good things about him, if you're talking him up, he's going to be more successful. Bottom line, he's going to be more successful. He's going to bring home more bacon. It's so easy. It's the easiest of things is to just be grateful and just express gratitude. If they worked hard on something, tell them that they worked hard on it and that you appreciate it. When they come home from work, tell them that you appreciate all the hard work they're doing. They're going to go to work the next day and be a better worker. And that in turn is going to increase their wages and the amount of money you can spend. It makes, and the same is true for men. If the wife works, if you want your spouse to be more successful and therefore you to be more successful, even if you don't believe it, fake it till you make it. If you're just shitting on your spouse all the time, they're not going to become better. Of course not. That's not how people work. That's not how motivation works. When they do the things that you want them to do, you say so. That's it. Positive feedback. It's so easy. It blows my mind. It blows my mind that women don't get this. Some do. But the majority of women do not understand how easy it is to make your man more successful.
Despite your flaws, literally sweeping you off your feet and carrying you around on adventures, helping you live out your dreams, face your fears, and supporting you through the good and bad times. You're going to sit here and tell me that's not the female fantasy too? Is this not the basic female fantasy? Is this not the knight in shining armor coming to rescue you and falling in love with you? Why on earth?
I know what you were saying, Coffee Enjoyer. And yeah, I know a lot of 2s and 3s and 1s that are bitches as well. I don't necessarily think that looks are correlated to behavior, but you don't get any clue or hint to how they're going to be as a person based off of their looks.
Why on earth are so many women so mad at this? Are men now the hopeless...
I mean, there's a lot of fat women that think that they have a cool personality, but very rarely is that the case. Usually there's zero correlation there.
Romantics? Are men now the ones yearning for a fairy tale romance? Is this why all the Disney remakes are like, she's not gonna be saved by the prince, she's a strong, independent woman? Meanwhile, men still want to be the prince, men still want to be the knight in shining armor. Men are like, I will save you from your monotonous 9-to-5 job. I will give you a house and babies. And women are like, no, I must be an actuarial consultant. Be gone, vile misogynist. Is that what is occurring here? Also, that aside, there literally is a gender-swapped version of this story called Perfect World. It is a manga. Mango? I don't know. Do not come for me, weebs. Men will statistically leave their wives and partners the moment they find out they're disabled or have a life-threatening condition. You're right, it is a fantasy. Actually, that study was debunked by the authors themselves.
Yeah. No, Lions, you're right. I know you're being sarcastic when you say, yeah, well done, babe, put a screw in the wall. But if you put the screw in the wall to hang up a picture that needs to get hung up, then yeah. So yeah, thanks for getting that picture hung up. What's more likely? You thank him for hanging up the picture, and then later you ask him to, I don't know, go out to the car because you left your water bottle out there or something, and you're already in your pajamas and you don't want to go outside and put shoes on. Is he more likely to go out and get your stupid water bottle because you said he did a good job hanging up that picture earlier, or if you just don't say shit at all and you have zero gratitude? It compounds, and the little stuff matters. Try it.
Who admitted they did the math wrong. It's actually not much higher, but then again, even
There is no crazy hot scale. If they're hot, they can get away with more when they're with men that aren't like if she's a 10 and she's not with a 10, if she's with a 6, then yeah, she could get away with more. But there's plenty of crazy 3s.
even if it was, and it happens, I've seen it happen to people, it's terrible. Marriage should be through sickness and through health, but that's not really the point here. And the fact that so many people are focusing on the wheelchair part of this just proves that they just don't get it. The ones of pure mind.
I want to be very clear what I'm saying here. I am not saying or begging for women to be grateful for the work that I do because I want men to feel some sort of gratitude. I am telling women that there is a very easy hack to have a better life, to just be grateful. I am giving you advice, not to help the man. I'm giving you advice to help yourself. Be greedy. Be selfish.
Mind and pure soul get it. But these fucking semen demons out here, they don't get it. But not all semen demons. The amount of people in comments who just don't get that men want a cute, loving girlfriend is beyond me. They call them creeps for wanting actual love.
When I'm talking about women on a 1 to 10 scale, we're talking about looks. And I agree that there's probably more, the 1 to 10 scale should be condensed down to like a 1 to 4 scale. Because if 8, 9s, and 10s are all going to date each other and they're all in that category of people who can date each other, then they should just be one number. So yeah, it should be a 1 to 4 scale.
Love and not a girl boss who only wants your money. Ah, thank you, a sane person. Hopefully the replies aren't full of people calling her a pick-me. Pick-me alert, least obvious pick-me. Me, pick me please. Hope he picks you, sis. Pick me, pick me, pick me. An incel could have written this. Fuck. Why are so many VTubers either pick-me's or racist? You mean why do so many female VTubers disagree with?
I'm not going to stop talking about women. I'm talking about looks on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll talk about men that way too. Show me a picture of a man, I'll tell you if he's a 1 through a 10. You don't think women talk about men that way? I have eyes, even though you can't see them.
Agree with you? Why so many aren't towing the mainstream liberal feminist NPC line? Because they can. See, the most powerful weapon women have against other women is social ostracization. You don't want to be seen as a pick-me or a racist, so you keep your mouth shut in order to survive in female social circles. But in the cases of VTubers, virtual YouTubers, they're basically anonymous. They can say anything they want. They're basically wearing a mask. They're free from the chains of the eternal HR longhouse. But apparently, even being anonymous online does not save them, because they still get doxxed for simply not hating hating men. Lovely. Maybe I should save this rant for a different video someday. Moving on. Men are why we can't have nice things, by the way. First of all, men make all the things. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Also, I just realized it was a man saying that. It was a whole-ass man saying men are why we can't have nice things. I don't deserve this trophy. This is for you, sir. This is for you. I'm not worthy. Listen, I make women jokes. I'm very critical of feminism and propaganda aimed at women. But you will never catch me in a million years saying some shit like women are why we can't have nice things. I have a mom. I have female family members. I have female friends. Maybe one day I'll have a daughter. Women make the world a beautiful place and, like men, can be flawed and deserve criticism, like anyone else. But there is something genuinely so cucked about people who put down their own gender or race. Oh god, race. Self-hating white people. Don't get me started on self-hating white people. White people are so evil. I hate being white. White people can't dance. White people food is so gross. You're not getting into Wakanda, bro. You're not getting invited to the cookout. Enough. But yeah, women were not the only ones who had a problem with this. There were a lot of men who didn't quite relate to this being the average male fantasy. It's fine to love the disabled. I didn't need to remind you that. But to glorify it? This anime is certainly Marxist propaganda. The movie is about him taking a job as her caretaker, and when he learns of her dreams, he makes it his mission to help her dreams come true. So it is Marxist propaganda to help a disabled person pursue their dreams? Yeah, it's woven in. Empathy is the target of propaganda. Marxism is when girl in wheelchair. I love this. Empathy is the target of propaganda. Every piece of media that makes you feel empathy is communism. Political brain rot. If you're at the point where you see this and you're thinking of communism, you need to log off. You are unwell. I'm sorry, but when I reproduce, I don't want a high probability of my offspring being mentally or physically retarded. We need a better class of incels whose bar is higher than the retarded. She's not retarded, she has a spinal injury that's not genetic. Also, what is this LARP? I love how everyone is just kind of having like a normal conversation about this clip, and this guy just comes out of nowhere like, I would never put my pure white seed in such a vile creature. Like, you absolutely know this guy has a non-white girlfriend. They all do. All these like I hate white people women always have white boyfriends. All these I hate non-white people boys always have non-white girlfriends. I don't know what it is, but I've seen it too many times. I guarantee you when this man logs off of his Black Sun Roman statue Twitter account, he's clapping Latina booty cheeks. My fantasy is not being a simp, but okay. Fellas, is it simping to love a woman? Nah, this is not the male fantasy. That man is a beta male. If she wasn't in a wheelchair, she would leave him for Chad. Fellas, is it beta to love a woman? This is not my fantasy.
Lions, call in.
This is some gay shit, to be honest. Fellas, is it gay to love a woman? What no pussy does to a motherfucker. Brother, I've seen—
What did you guys think of the Superman? I don't know why this popped into my head. I'm curious what you guys thought of the new Superman if you saw it.
what pussy does to a motherfucker. And it's far worse. The average male fantasy is taking care of their crippled wife. I don't think I've ever had that fantasy before. I thought it was gonna be about going on some quest to kill the dragon to win the princess or something. It is. That is the average male fantasy. But there are no dragons to slay. There are no princesses to save. But there is that little old lady in the grocery store who can't quite reach that top shelf. There's that heavy box the pretty girl you work with can't quite lift herself. There's that jar of tomato sauce your wife can't quite open. There's that Lego set your little son can't quite put together himself. Or there is this paraplegic girl who wants to see the ocean. This is the princess and the dragon story. And despite what many are told, men do have a lot of love to give. And they want some kind of excuse or mechanism to show that love. In a world where men expressing themselves is either seen as toxic or gay. And one way of expressing that love is solving problems. Men fucking love solving problems. I don't know what it is. They also love reading Wikipedia articles. The amount of times I walked over and my husband is reading a random fucking Wikipedia article about like the world's tallest buildings or like a random battle in World War II. I didn't know if this was autism or what, but apparently it's a man thing. Anyway, yes, men love solving problems.
No worries,
and in a world that makes them feel useless, makes them feel like they have no purpose, men desperately feel like they need to prove their worth. They are desperately looking for a purpose in life. So it is not at all shocking to me that the modern young man is seeing a clip like this and longing for this. A lot of modern men don't have a chance to prove themselves, to make something of their lives. They don't have a chance to provide anything for anyone because they don't have anything to provide and they don't have anyone. They are doing everything their grandfathers did, but seeing none of the results. They're lost. What can they provide? And as I said earlier, her being in a wheelchair is the protector and provider instinct taken to a extreme. And yes, it is a fantasy, considering if you ask anyone who's actually in a wheelchair, they know it's not all butterflies and rainbows, and they know that it's hard on relationships. It can be difficult on their partner. But just like in the movie, it's not shown as butterflies and rainbows. Josie feels like a burden. But towards the end of the movie, the guy takes on that burden. Not because he gets something in return, but because it's his duty. Because it makes her happy, which makes him happy in return. Loyalty, duty, virtue, acts of service, big or small. Men live for that shit. And yes, these are stereotypes. Not everyone fits into these boxes, blah, 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 blah. But for the most part, it's true. When many men look at this relationship, that is what they see. And a lot of modern women are looking at this relationship and being disgusted because, in a way, it's the complete inverse of the strong, independent woman.
Call from. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello? Hello? Calls are pretty weak.
And they've been sold. They've been told they need to be. The modern woman crafted by modern Disney for modern audiences. Unlike the Hollywood-crafted modern woman, this woman does need her man. She is not strong and she's not independent, at least physically. This doesn't mean she's like an empty vessel with no thoughts or freedom. No, in fact, in the movie, Josie does roll away from him a few times. It is a fantasy not because of a power imbalance, but because the man has a tangible purpose, and the woman is willingly and lovingly letting him fulfill that purpose.
Because I can depend on you. I know that if I ever feel frightened, I can just reach out to you.
Men simply want something good to die for, to make it beautiful to live. This manifests in a lot of ways, but the most common is having a loving partner and or a family. Something unobtainable to many people nowadays. So yes, literally one of the most normal things ever is becoming a fantasy. Sad. Also, men will deny this, but they absolutely have a biological clock. It may not hit in your teens or your 20s, but one day you're going to have a dream. You have a little daughter making you pancakes with your wife in the morning, and you're not going to be able to get it out of your head. And that is the male biological clock. Everything you do, the money you make working that grating 9-to-5 job, it will all be for something bigger and more important than yourself one day. You will come home to a warm and happy home, greeted by people who care about you, and love you, and rely on you, and everything will make sense then. Until then, you'll just be on the internet, being called a misogynist, for wanting something bigger and more important than yourself, for wanting something beautiful and normal. And that is the average male fantasy. That and 3 hot chicks at once. Hell yeah, brother! Haha, you know what I'm saying? So that was that little video. Men in the comments, let me know. Am I correct? Is that the...
All right. Should I just keep rolling?
The people
I gotta finish this video here. Might as well catch up with the Epstein stuff.
The President of the United States is trying to cover the Epstein story. It's the double down right here on Truth Social. A big post saying that actually it's the Democrats who wrote the Epstein files. This is just after Elon Musk, who worked with Trump for many months, said that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Obviously, we've already seen.
Yeah, I saw Superman last night. I liked it. Or was it last night? Yeah, I liked it. But the obvious Israel-Palestine connection was not talked about in any of the news articles. All they brought up was Superman said some, or not Superman, but James Gunn said some things about the audience, and they said that Superman said something about the human way instead of the American way. That never happened in the movie. That was all a lie. All those articles were BS clickbait.
seen deflections from the president about Epstein, saying that it's a disgrace to talk about it.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? It just seems like a desecration.
But today it goes a step further. Quick context. There's been a lot of infighting in the Republican Party over basically who's at fault for the giant botch of the...
Who's fighting in the Republican Party? Pretty much everyone's on board except for Ben Shapiro. I think this is the same caller.
Call from Jonathan Lee.
Jonathan.
I disagree completely with her.
Was Shoe on Head?
Yes.
Okay. In what way?
It's very complicated, but it's just how she described. Well, you could ask them and that they're in a wheelchair. You could ask them it's not a very heavy life. Actually, my great-grandma that died, she had a very happy life in her wheelchair every day.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think she... What did she say that would make you make that point relevant?
Well, she said you could ask any person in a wheelchair, and you could say it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows? Being in a wheelchair? No, I wouldn't think so.
Well,
No, I'm pretty sure most people in a wheelchair wish they didn't have to be in a wheelchair. I don't think that's a crazy idea.
I know, but the way I thought that she was putting it is that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. So you're saying that they couldn't be happy or that they dreaded their life because they were in a wheelchair.
Yes.
Which you're saying isn't true. Which I can't fully relate to, but I've got a really bad ankle. I broke it in half playing basketball when I was in high school, like the year right out of high school, and pretty much towards the end of every single day, it gets really hard to walk on it just because it's so painful. And it's all from one injury, and it's been this way for close to, I don't even know, almost 20 years now. Let's see, almost 20 years now, where I'm probably going to be crippled by the time I'm in my 50s, or I'm going to have to get an ankle replacement. But yeah, I still obviously have a good life, and I still have joy and all that all that. So I think there was just a misunderstanding on what she was saying.
I know how she was meaning it. I wasn't like disagreeing with her. I was just trying to prove a point where the way I felt is that she's saying it was like a horrible life for them. I know it's not a horrible life because, as I said, my great-grandma had a very great life with us.
Of course. Yeah, of course. How long did you say she was in a wheelchair for? Or you didn't say? How long has she been in a wheelchair?
She was in a wheelchair for 20 years.
Okay, and was it a specific accident, or was it just because of her age?
Yes.
And illness?
Yeah, and no, it's that she was there was a police officer and he was trying to tailgate her. He was trying to brake check her, and then it almost killed her in an accident.
Holy shit. She rear-ended a police officer?
Well, he was brake checking her,
Yeah.
and then she got where it was to 20 miles under the speed limit.
Oh my God. Holy crap. Did she get a payout? Like,
No.
Did they sue the police department? Jesus Christ.
She tried to, but they said that she was going 20 miles over the speed limit when she was actually only going 2 miles over the speed limit at the time.
That sucks. She was, do you know roughly how old she was at the time?
She was 50 years old at that time.
Good God. That sucks. That's brutal. Well, anything else?
I don't know.
Sad
Think
story.
so.
Thanks for calling in. Really appreciate it. Sad story.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good night. That is crazy.
Of the Epstein files, with the majority of Republicans not wanting to believe that Trump himself was against a full release, but rather that he was sort of tricked into not releasing the Epstein files by one of his lackeys. But today, Donald Trump came out and basically backed Pam Bondi, saying they're all going after Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Democrats who conned the world with the Russia hoax? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton Steele dossier. Now, this is such a smokescreen and a deflection. This is not a left versus right issue. Epstein never has been. It's the people versus the predators, not left versus right. The people versus the pedophiles, the people versus the people on planes. There ain't no left versus right here. In fact, some of the people who want this the most are people on the right, even on Truth Social. Obviously a hugely Trump-favored place. Everybody is saying, no, this is unacceptable. You have to release the files. Later in the post, Trump also says that these are radical left-inspired documents and to not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. But actually, we all do care about it. You know who doesn't actually want this out? The elites. That's why they've never done it. That's why it was a compelling pitch when Donald Trump hinted to his base that maybe he was going to release the files. People largely didn't trust the job that Biden had done. That's why it was a compelling story. So the idea now that it was Biden and Obama who invented the Epstein files is absolutely preposterous. They don't want that out either. And maybe that's because, as a producer of 60 Minutes alleged, Ghislaine Maxwell implied that there were tapes on Trump and also tapes on Clinton. You know who else said it? Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, saying Epstein said, what I know about both candidates, the 2016 election would have to be canceled. So this whole idea that this is a left or right thing, it's not. It's the elites. Anybody who was on that plane, anybody who was associated with Epstein, seen with Epstein, even if they did nothing wrong, they don't want that out. Everyone who wasn't seen with Epstein, wasn't on that plane, of course they all want the files out. And what's interesting,
What I don't quite fully understand is that if Trump was in the Epstein files, we know they're not files, but if he could be implicated in any way, why was he ever even talking about it on the trail, like when he was campaigning? Right? If he had a guilty conscience, why would he ever talk about the Epstein files?
Call from
Justice.
Justice.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good. How
I
you doing
remembered
tonight?
you this time. Oh, God. Just going to try to keep it very light today.
Cool.
So I see you're talking about some good stuff. Yeah, I saw. So what's the people's general reaction to what's going on? I mean, do they really want some stuff done? You think?
Everybody that I follow on the right, at least, including me, I never bought the bull crap when Pam Bondi said that there's nothing to it. To move along.
Yeah, well, we all know that certain people are scared. There's a lot of other stuff, obviously, at play. Again, remember, I got to hush on some things. But, obviously, we want to stop all that evil and stuff like that. So you're doing a very good job, sir.
Ishan, no, this is a long-time caller. He calls pretty much every time. Somebody's saying they think you might be a troll.
Just everybody thinks I'm a troll. And then also too, I got now hundreds of people believing I'm God in my city. But yeah, I'm just a troll. I'm just believing that. But yeah, no, just be good. Same old, same old. I'll try to help you guys out. You just, you be you. Remember to love, be good, protect the children and the innocent, and
That's
Holy
your number
Spirit,
one
buddy.
cause, protect the children. This Epstein shit must be driving you nuts.
Well, it's, sort of why everybody's, in the city is believing I'm God because, well, at least there's justice. I mean, it doesn't matter you believe in God because my way is your way, but without me being praised. But yeah, it is driving me absolutely nuts going on. And, I see everybody's complaining about it and they come up to me and, there's certain people that come up to me, obviously, complaining about it. And I'm talking about maybe people in the know of certain things, certain people, but I never get into their personal life just for their own protection. So, yes, it does. There's a lot of people extremely concerned that know a lot of different angles that are going on that are very upset. And once I sort of go there like mainstream, I don't know. Hopefully, I just hope everybody's calm because that's what I'm trying to teach people right now is to
Where
be
do you
calm
live?
in the
What
midst of
city are
it.
you in? What's the
Well,
general
I'm
consensus?
justice. I don't know, somewhere in America. I still want to make I want to, it's just more fun that way. I don't know. I mean, once everybody sees, once it gets blown open, then it's just going to be like a
I think
holy
you're on the
crap
east.
moment.
I think you're on the West Coast. I'm getting West Coast
Maybe
vibes.
East Coast, West Coast.
No, it'd be too late.
I'm on the East. All right, I'll give a little hint. I'm on the East Coast, Northeast. I go by many names, but typically I like everybody just to call me Justice and nothing more.
All right. Sounds good.
So, all right, man.
You've
You have a
downgraded
good
from
one.
God to justice.
What was that, sir?
Said you're humbling yourself. You've gone down from God to justice. So you've gotten more humble over the days.
I claim to be God. When I have to come in power to stop evil, I use my power as God and as that. But generally, any speaking, any friends, when you talk to me, I don't want to be like, hey, I don't want you to be like, hey, Father, God, Lord. I want you to be like, hey, Justice, can you help me out with something? Just like a brother.
Perfect.
All right. God bless you. You have a great day.
God bless you.
Good night.
We're going to finish the video. Peace.
All right. Bye-bye.
What's interesting is obviously the Trump administration has sort of played footsie with this idea for a long time, playing to their base. They know this is a big issue. They had the influencers stand out there with a bunch of released material, but we also showed clips of Donald Trump implying that maybe Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew were doing bad things on the island.
Bill Clinton. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island.
That island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew.
So consistently, Trump has hinted that maybe these guys were involved with Epstein, maybe it was bad, but turns out all these guys knew each other and knew Epstein. We know this in part from a Piers Morgan interview where he talks to a lady who went to a dinner.
John. You there? Hello? I think you're muted.
Hello?
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 Yep, hello?
Hey. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
All right, I'm sorry, I had the headphones, I was listening to you. What is the topic tonight? Is it about Trump again, or?
Well, it was about male losers initially, and young men, and how people consider them losers. And then we moved on to the Epstein files. So you can pick either one of those topics. Good night, the Antichrist.
With all the stuff going on, things like YouTube and stuff like that, I would say there's a lot of male and female losers out there. I'm not talking about you. They put on a fake persona. Everybody's tough. Everybody's pretty. Everybody's this. Everybody's that. I mean, that's pretty sad when you sit in front of the computer all the time, living a fake life. You know, like when I was a kid, we used to go out and do things, and you went on a date, you had to go out and find a date. Now people just sit on the internet, and you can see. I mean, you look at people 30 years ago, and they have better technology now as far as exercise and stuff like that. They were in better shape because they were out exercising.
Yeah.
You know, these people are so fake, and I'm sick of it. Even these politicians. I don't care what party they're in; they're all fake. Donald Trump's fake. Was he hanging around with Epstein? Yeah. I don't know what he's doing, but he was hanging around there. Slick Willie was hanging around there too. So, but these other people like Bond Egan, they're fake. The director of the FBI is a joke. It's just sad, man. Because we're becoming pathetic. We used to be the best country in the world, and we're becoming the most pathetic. It's sad. It really is.
Yeah.
You can disagree with me. I'm just telling you what I see. And, you know, I come out at night, I can't sleep, so I'll come out on YouTube. And I go on a few of these programs. And a few of them are good programs, and the rest of them a bunch of knuckleheads being narcissist weirdos. So
Yeah.
I don't know. YouTube needs to improve. I
Yeah.
think YouTube improved.
I don't know if Trump is.
You agree?
I don't think it. I don't know that Trump did anything with kids or underage women or underage boys, any of that. I just think it's weird that he's trying to.
Yeah.
What I don't like is that he's trying to get everybody, my boys and my gals. He's trying to get everybody in line, essentially handing us cups of Kool-Aid and telling us to drink it, even when we can see everyone who drank it is already getting sick. We know that there's more there. I mean, it's so obvious that they're hiding stuff and they're covering stuff up. And maybe it's Trump's friends that did stuff. And yeah, maybe Trump hung out with Epstein, but nothing bad was ever done. Like, still.
Or maybe he did. Who knows?
Or maybe he did. Or maybe he has friends that he knows that did stuff.
Something's not right. I'll tell you that I had predicted this. I said this a couple of weeks ago. Something big and bad was going to happen eventually. And I don't know if this is the moment or not. I just have a bad gut feeling.
Well, I think if anything, it just shows that Trump has what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? He has a cult of personality around him. And I think this is one of the few times I've seen that cult of personality break, where just because he says something doesn't mean that everybody's just going to fall in line.
Wow.
In the past,
blame the news for that too. Blame the news for that too, because they always put them on. Trump did this today. Same thing with Joe Biden. Joe Biden did this today. Obama did this. I mean, the news is pathetic. It's not like it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You know, it's just crazy. I mean, even, as I said, YouTube just showing something about J.D. Vance taking his family. I don't like J.D. Vance, but he's taking his family to Disney World, and people are booing him. So what? He took his kids to Disney World.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think J.D. Vance really has anything to do with it anyways. So I don't think it's up to him. I don't think he's making any decisions. And obviously he can't come out and support the base now. The base is demanding that we get the actual files. J.D. Vance isn't going to be allowed to go against the president at this point, even if he knows deep down he should.
I think most of those files, if there's any, they're gone.
Yeah, the information. Right, because I think it was tied to government in some way. I think Jeffrey was working for the government at some level.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I didn't like the deal that Trump, the great, whatever Trump called that deal, what? The perfect great deal, whatever the hell it was.
Oh, the big beautiful bill or something else?
Yeah. That wasn't good on Trump's part, but
yeah, I agree.
I a lot of people turning on him because of it. It's totally different than. It's totally different. I can keep it down. I wake my wife up. She's gonna scream.
Okay.
It's totally different if you look in the '90s to what Trump was saying. He's a totally different. He has a totally different message than what he was saying, say in 1989, 1990. And at one time, he's actually a Democrat too.
Yeah. Well, he wrote a book, and in the book,
So
he was talking about how we need to socialize medicine because it was too expensive and we're getting ripped off by insurance companies.
yeah, and then when he finally got a chance, I never thought he'd be president, but when he became president, he completely changed, man. Completely changed. So that's what politics do. It changes people. It brings the worst out of people. So
Yeah.
and everybody they're openly showing you they're corrupt now, where they used to hide. Trump is the first trend where they're openly showing you they're scumbags. Where they all used to play, oh, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, we're living in a different world, man, and unfortunately, it's getting worse.
Yeah, it is getting worse.
I don't know. I don't know.
Birth
what
rates
else
are
to say.
down, marriage is down, income is down, wealth inequality is up. It's going to get worse before it gets better for sure.
Every kid is different, man.
All right.
I'm
Nice talking to you.
I'm with children. Yeah, good night.
Yep, have a good night.
Dinner party with Trump, Clinton, Epstein, and Prince Andrew.
Extraordinary collection of very high-powered people. How did they all interact with Epstein? How did Trump, Clinton, and Prince Andrew interact with him?
Everyone was very, very pally with him. It was like there was close bonds. You could see that.
So these guys knew each other, apparently had dinner parties together, all of them together. Trump later accuses two of the guys of doing bad things. And then when we release the files, can we release the files? Well, no, actually, no, we can't do that. Nobody cares about that. The reason why seems obvious. Epstein knew Prince Andrew. Yes. He knew Bill Clinton. Yes. But he also knew Donald Trump. And recently tapes were released of Epstein talking and calling Donald Trump his closest friend.
So how do you know this? Donald's closest friend.
So it makes intuitive sense to distance yourself from files that may or may not have your name in it, and even distance yourself from the people involved. It's worth stating Trump actually denied knowing Prince Andrew.
I don't know Prince Andrew.
Of course, this was immediately debunked by photos showing the two together. And of course, showing that they clearly knew each other as of 2000. Now, the reason you would deny knowing Prince Andrew, even though you did, is...
Hey, James, if you're still here, I'm going to read your comment. The United States is in a very steady decline now. It's shocking how much damage he's done since January 20th. I don't think that he's caused more damage, but he's not fixed the trajectory that the country is on. Let's just put it that way. The country, because of inflation and because of job opportunities, because of manufacturing moving overseas, because of the wealth inequality, we need to have like an entire decade of deflation where asset prices go down. If asset prices continue to go up, the wealthier are going to continue to have more and more leverage. And economists tell you, oh no, if there's deflation, it'll hurt the poor even more. I think it's bullshit. I really do. I think deflation is going to hurt the rich more. And not even necessarily, they're not going to be in pain. They're not going to be suffering. But we got to get back to a point where working has more leverage. Working, and this is the problem, there's two problems. You have AI on the opposite end that is making labor less valuable, human labor. And if you own McDonald's stock and every single McDonald's can now be run by one human because everything's been completely automated, then the people who own the McDonald's stock are going to get wealthier. Who owns the McDonald's stock right now? All the wealthy people. All these companies that become more efficient, more labor efficient. It doesn't help the poor. It makes the wealthy richer, which is fine. Being wealthy is fine. I'm not an eat the rich type person. I'm a How do we approach this in a practical manner without bankrupting every single person every time they have a medical emergency? I have health insurance. I pay thousands of dollars a month for it. My deductible is like $5,000 if I have to go into the hospital, and then they only pay like 60%. So I can have an operation that cost me $200,000 and I'm still going to owe like 80 grand. Does that make any sense to you? Does it make any sense that GoFundMe, their entire profit, their entire model, the only reason that company exists is because of the US healthcare system? Every time somebody celebrates a successful GoFundMe campaign, oh, in the news, they print in articles, oh, they raised $100,000 for a kidney replacement, and they're celebrating it. They're celebrating the fact that these individuals were not, or they got in an accident, whatever. It doesn't have to be kidney. It could be anything. But they're celebrating the fact that that family would have gone bankrupt had people not chipped in to help pay for the operation. What's that? That's privatized socialism. GoFundMe gets a piece of it. Does it make sense? Secure the borders, increase the amount of social programs. That's what the future is. There's no other way around it. I'm sorry. As a Republican conservative, I like facts, and there's no way around this. This has been happening for the last 50 years.
It is obvious at the time he was facing allegations related to Epstein.
And what I mean, I'm not celebrating the fact that I'm not happy that somebody was able to raise $100,000 on GoFundMe because they needed it. It's not how it should have been.
By the way, allegations that now are basically over. Prince Andrew is very happy about us dropping the Epstein probe. A source for The Sun said he's only been abroad once since the scandal.
And why is it that my operation is half the price if I pay cash? This goes back to the earlier video that I did earlier today. If you can afford to pay for something, or if you have access to the credit to pay for it, you're going to get charged more. If your insurance is going to pay a certain amount, the hospital is going to charge that amount. They're going to charge as much as they possibly can get out of the insurance company. And it's going to increase the cost for everybody.
Scandal erupted. Prince Andrew has always been very nervous about going abroad and always looking.
And you think it's the doctors that are getting all this money? You really think it's the doctors that are doing the work and not the administration and the owners of these healthcare companies that are getting all that money? No, it's all going into Wall Street. All this consolidation, all these hospitals, all these dental offices, these locally owned dental offices that are getting bought up, becoming a monolith. All that money is getting sucked out of the community. These dentists that lived in these small communities and had these practices, they would buy a home in that small community. They would hire people locally. They would shop at their local supermarket. That money would get circulated locally. They're being bought up by Wall Street, made into these huge dental corporations. And don't tell me it's not happening, because I've talked to several dentists who've complained about it. One went off and retired. Of course he's going to take $10 million so he can go off and retire, sell his practice. Of course he would. I'm not blaming the individual. But that money is getting pushed into Wall Street. All these small towns that are dying across the country, go on a road trip. Why do you think all these small towns are dying? Because the wealth is being sucked up and put into Wall Street and put into California. I've said it before, I'll say it again. When I'm paying Google 20% of my income for my small business, I know that everybody else in my industry, I have 30 competitors that are local. We're all giving 20% of our income to freaking Google, and it's going to California. 20%, not of the income, of the revenue. If I make $1 million in a year, Google gets $200,000. Not just from me, but from the 30 competitors in my area. That's all going to California. Google's not respending that money locally. So people complain about a value-added tax or a VAT tax like it was somehow socialist or bad. Are you high? Why would a VAT tax be bad? They need to be higher. And just because you're a Republican and a conservative doesn't mean you don't believe in taxes.
Over his
Believe in Social Security, don't you?
He's always been very nervous about going abroad and always looking over his shoulder, as he should be, in my opinion. But now he's very happy because the guy who never met him but was photographed with him in 2000 just ended the investigation. Now, I have to say, Trump's been pretty consistent on the fact he has no interest in releasing the Epstein files in full. He said this multiple times. The reason most people have sort of a false memory of this, the reason it's sort of a Mandela effect that he campaigned on the idea of releasing the Epstein files, is because Fox News released a deceptively edited clip where they cut out the part where he said, yeah, I'll probably release the Epstein files. And they cut out the part where then he backtracks on that completely.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
And that's the part most of us saw. Of course, later, people found out that the full clip showed him saying basically the opposite.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to.
Charles says, you are kind of misinformed. Insurance companies and hospitals charge the maximum that the federal government says Medicaid and Medicare will pay. So they charge the maximum that they can get away with? It's not based on, I don't know, supply and demand? It's not based on what people are willing to pay for something? Is that what you're saying right now? So you're saying it's not a free market?
I don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
We also have Bill O'Reilly on News Nation saying he just talked to Trump back on St. Patrick's Day, and Trump basically said the same thing.
He said, and I agree, there are a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. They maybe had lunch with him or maybe had some correspondence for one thing or another. If that name gets out, those people are destroyed. Because there's not going to be any context. Media doesn't care about context. So you can't.
Coffee Enjoyer says that I would argue on the individual level, taxes are completely bullshit, but you could say some taxes in theory are better than others. Yeah, well, how about some taxes on some goddamn real estate? I just watched a video of some, well, I don't even know, I don't think it was Guy Kawasaki, but he was making the same argument about how, real estate is awesome because you can just avoid taxes. You can buy real estate and you can just roll it in, and then you can buy more real estate and then you can never pay taxes on it. Okay. So you're essentially just becoming more asset rich. You're not paying taxes. Okay. That's ethical, I guess. But everybody else is paying taxes. When my crews go and work and spend 12 hours a day on a truck actually doing physical labor, and then I pay their payroll tax, they pay their payroll tax, or their whatever their tax is, their income tax. I don't know why I'm struggling here. But the guy who's got millions of dollars and is flipping 20 houses a year doesn't have to pay any taxes. Gets to write off every single expense. Yeah. Okay.
Can't do that.
So over and over, we've seen the same answer from the president. Not the fact that, oh no, the Epstein files, it's a lefty conspiracy. No, actually, it's the worry that people in the files are going to have their lives destroyed by the files. That sounds a lot more like covering for the people in the files than it does covering the victims. We've heard Kash Patel and Pam Bondi talk about, we got to protect the victims.
Go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims.
We're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that back out there.
But when we actually hear the president talk about it, and the real reason, right, because he's ultimately the decision maker on whether this gets released, what the real reason is cited is not about victims. It is about the people, the names in the thing. So I find it disgusting. They're using the victims of Epstein as a shield for the people who are actually in these files. Now, of course, who specifically is he worried about? Well, maybe it's his friends, maybe it's people he has dinner parties with, and of course, maybe it's him, Donald Trump, that he's worried about. The journalist Michael Wolff actually quotes Steve Bannon as saying Jeffrey Epstein was really feared in 2016 for what he knew.
I was there, and it was that moment, and Bannon said to Epstein, and he said this in a good humor. He said during the campaign, it would be the 2016 campaign, you, meaning Jeffrey Epstein, were the only person I was afraid of.
So that is 3 independent sources. You've got the Ira Rosen quote, the Michael Wolff quote, and that Mark Epstein quote, all saying that there is some type of damaging information on Trump. 2 of those people specifically implying that it's also on Clinton as well. You also have the Elon Musk allegation from left field, but he doesn't source anybody, so we won't count that. Either way, I must say, I don't know for sure if Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Donald Trump were heavily involved in anything nefarious or not. That is exactly why we should all demand that we open these files. But the possibility of both Democrats and Republicans being implicated in some of these files, whether they did it or not, or just knew him, may give a plausible reason for why the Epstein files have been heavily redacted this whole time. There are very powerful people involved. We've known that. The reason we've been given, of course, is that, we've got to protect the victims. The real reason behind the scenes is really they're protecting the powerful people. Now, the most charitable interpretation is, as Bill O'Reilly said, it's because those people would have their lives ruined. They had nothing to do with Epstein, but we know some of them probably did. We know this from the Miami Herald because the FBI agents who searched Epstein's house found a cache of thick black binders all labeled with names that contained hundreds of naked or semi-naked photographs on CDs that Epstein stored in various places. The labels on the binders were redacted from photos because prosecutors said they were names of third parties who were not relevant to the case they are mounting against Ghislaine Maxwell. So my question is, are those some of the third parties? Their names are on binders with a bunch of explicit photographs that Epstein was storing? That seems like something we should be investigating. Or what about the fact that since the FBI is saying there's no blackmail involved with Jeffrey Epstein, we investigate the Wall Street Journal report that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly tried to extort Bill Gates over an extramarital affair? Because I thought there was no blackmail involved. And my real plea to people is to not allow comments like this, these statements about partisan politics, to trick you into thinking this is some type of left versus right issue. That is the Trump play right now. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's a disaster. I think it's very stupid. I think people on the right are just as interested as people on the left. I think this is a universal issue, as it should be. If there are predators in the highest offices in the land, be they Democrat or Republican, we want to know about it.
Yeah, I am going to order a new mic right now. It is way too sensitive. Audio cuts out when you pause video. Yeah, I know. I keep accidentally touching the mute button. I don't know. I'm tired, obviously. I'm ornery. I think this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing has just made me ornery for the last 5 days. It's just really frustrating not being allowed to have an opinion that is different from the leader, whoever is at the top telling you how to think, how to feel, and being called a conspiracy theorist by your uncles who, I don't know, were just barely saying for the last 2 years, 4 years, complaining about the Jeffrey Epstein files. and who used to be in law enforcement and knows the type of shit that goes on in law enforcement and the lies. Somebody who was pushed out of law enforcement because they tried to get one of their fellow officers off the squad because they were doing things that they shouldn't have been doing while they were on work. And he saw the corruption in his own department. And he saw them get away with it. And now, 15 years after that happened to him, he seems to think there's no corruption going on. And it's crazy to me. I know I'm talking about somebody in my own personal life, but it's just unbelievable. And had the argument with him right before I went live. It's just so stupid. I thought you were a free thinker. I thought you could think for yourself. I guess I was wrong. Being president means you put your focus on your country, sort the thousands of other things wrong with America before being worried about Iran. Jesus Christ, I know. It's ridiculous. But quite frankly, Israel probably has stuff on Trump. Israel is probably the one that employed Jeffrey Epstein. Populism, baby. Yeah, right. That's when the media revolution, that's what a media revolution does to a mother effer. If you weren't such a coward and didn't overstep Iran, wouldn't even have a problem with America. Yeah. I got lucky and married a Chinese citizen and moved to Shanghai. Quality of life is way better. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I wonder if Japan loves the fact that PewDiePie moved there and is just showing an entire generation that Japan is a great place to move to and live. Maybe that's how they're going to deal with their population decline. Get a bunch of social media influencers over there. Start essentially doing free commercials for Japan. I've never set foot in Clown America. Every place is retarded. Every place has their own problems. How do locals think of you as an American? How do locals think of you as an American? Oh, you're asking the guy who moved to China? As far as I understand, people in China are racist. Maybe not against white people. But apparently Chinese are more racist than your average American, whatever that means nowadays. Eric Weinstein thinks that Jeffrey Epstein was a front. I don't know if I even trust Jeffrey or Eric Weinstein anymore.
The people versus the pet.
Joe Rogan. I'm going to go to bed. Sorry I'm annoyed. Just frustrating. Thank you for watching, Sarah. Really appreciate it. Coffee Enjoyer, thank you for the comments. Super appreciated. Thanks for dealing with the muting problem. Sarah, great comments tonight. As always, really appreciate you three. Hopefully I'll be in a better mood next live. I don't know what it was. Ever since that caller called and wanted to say the N-word, it's so annoying. Like I don't care necessarily. I can deal with it. I can deal with trolls. But why spend your time calling in to do that? Like if you're going to call in the show, you need to do what Bart Simpson did. Come up with something funny to say. Like I don't care if you're trolling, but if you're going to troll, you got to be entertaining. And if you're not entertaining or you're not funny, you're wasting my time. Right? Like take the piss out of me. God, make fun of my glasses. That is more unique than just saying the N-word. You don't think I hear the N-word every single day? People want attention when they can't get it from those around them. Right. But that's the thing. If he would just call in and talk and actually have a conversation, I'd give him attention. The kid called in, wanted to talk about his grandma in a wheelchair, and guess what? We were able to get a really cool story out of it. Justice calls in every single time. When Justice first called in, he was screaming and ranting and going crazy on the phone. And then he ended up being a pretty cool guy. All you had to do was talk to him. I give people the benefit of the doubt. It's so weird. Good night.